Thanks for continuing to watch the weekly update of our podcast. This has been an important week in the U.S. Senate. Most of the effort has been focused on this Wall Street reform legislation that we passed through the Senate with a decent majority. It was a difficult piece of legislation because of the complexity of the issue. The purposes of it are to avoid the kind of financial meltdown that we experienced a couple of years ago on Wall Street that's caused so much unemployment, caused such economic depression throughout the country. That's the main focus. Another focus is to better protect consumers of financial services so that they know better what they're getting into when they sign on to a mortgage or a credit transaction. And then a third is to protect investors, build more transparency into our stock markets, our bond markets, all of the various markets that people invest in, so that can be better regulated. This was important legislation. It now goes to a conference with the House of Representatives. They've passed their own version of this bill. And the hope is that in the next month or 6 weeks, we can complete that conference and have a bill that can be again passed by both houses of Congress and sent to the President for signature. In addition to this legislation, we also spent more time this week to try to deal with this spill situation in the Gulf, the disaster that's occurred down there. We had the second hearing in the Energy Committee that I chair, this time with Secretary of Interior Ken Salazar, talking about possible regulatory failures and his plans to try to change the regulation of offshore drilling, and particularly deep water offshore drilling. Next week we're going to talk about, we have a hearing scheduled to look at the liability issue and see what changes we need to bring about in the law so that there is liability on the part of these companies, and it's not just dependent upon them being willing to compensate people. They would be required to. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you find this of interest.